So in this video, we will see the relationship of task and what is CPM or critical path method and what is residence diagramming method. So we are going to see all these things in this video. First of all, if we see what exactly is task. So if we do day by day activities, we call it task. For this task to duration calculation or when we create tasks like A, B, C, these are tasks. So there are multiple methodologies. For duration or network analysis, there are two major methods. One is critical path method and the other is precedence diagram method. What is difference between these two? Critical path method is network analysis type. It shows relationship and connectivity. It determines the time and the point of your work. Generally, in CPM, a critical path method is used to define task or to define scheduling flexibility. The critical part of the method is to define the sequence of the project longest activity. This can be delayed due to long term. If there is a delay in critical task, then the whole project can also be delayed. Critical task method is called as critical path method. As we were talking about, the network that follows in this is finished to start, in which if you want to show any network background or relation, suppose here I am taking a task, my task is starting from here, it's my A task and this is B task. First is my 3 days task and second will be start after finish first, means start to finish. Where your first activity finishes, your second activity start. This is FS, which is used in critical path method, and most of the software companies follow this method. When one activity finishes, your second activity starts. So you understood till here. Now comes precedence diagramming method. Is similar to CPM. This is similar, but in network analysis, in CPM, there were only one relationship. But if we see in precedence diagramming method, you get 4 types of different types are divided into 2 major types. So first relationship is sequential type. It's like where your first activity end. So the next activity start from there, which we call start to finish. Means any activity that start first, it ends. And the second activity starts. So this is called sequential. So in this also finish to start means where your activity, first activity was going. So this is your A activity which is finished. So B activity will start with this. So the finish of this activity will be start of the second activity. So we call this finish to start. And after this second activity, the second one is start to finish. Means your current activity is not finished yet, but you have to start the next activity. Means the first activity you started is not completed yet. You want to start it or you have already started it. So we call it start to finish. Means your activity is not completed yet, but you have already started it. So we call it start to finish. This is the type in sequential relationship, and the type after this overlapping. So suppose you have 3 activities in this. This is your A activity, this is B, and this is your C. Like my first activity started from here and my second activity ended from here. But in this case, suppose my A and B activities are starting together. But what is the finish of this? Like both activities are started same date. Like this for 3 days and this is 5 days. So the start date is same but the end date is different. So we will call this as start to start in overlapping. So this relationship is called start to start. Next is finish to finish. This is also similar as we saw about start to start. In start to start, the end date of the activity will be same. Similarly, in finish also, the different dates will start the activity. This activity started here. This is the activity of 6 days. But the activity starts from 3rd day. But the end date is same. So we will call it overlapping activity. In overlapping, finish to finish activity. So this is relationship of your work. This comes in this, and there is another one which we call lag and lead. Suppose I have 3 activities. First is for 6 days, second is for 5 days, which was started from here. So the third activity is to start from here. Suppose for this activity my duration was 6 days, but it has completed before 2 days, means completed in 4 days. Then your second activity will start from here. What we call it then? Lead, which you have to mention in negative symbol. Opposite of this, like suppose my first activity was from here and I finished from here, and there is some gap in between, and then my activity starts, or start date is different, but it starts on the second day. For example, my start day was on 3rd, but my start was on 6th. So this is lag is between these two. This is your lag added in positive symbol. It means what is happening in project duration, this is your lead and lag. But whenever we create a drawing, like a Gantt chart, we create network diagram. Whenever we create a network diagram, there are rules and regulations for it. For example, if we are creating a drawing, then first thing is that if an event is going on, you can't tell it completed before it's preceding, because it is not completed. And if you are taking any activity in it and it is succeeding, it can't start until your previous events are not complete, means they are not complete. You can't repeat the same event again and again. For example, you had an activity called A, which you had completed, but you can't repeat the same sequence or loop activity in it. This is the rule of the drawing network. Each activity, when you are starting a new activity, until it doesn't end, you have to finish it in that event. And the time flow will be from left to right. So if you have 2 days time, then it will come from left to right. Then it will go forward. It will not come in this direction. It will not flow in left to right. And then whatever activity you are showing in this, the task should be complete to complete the event. If the activity is not complete, then the task is not complete. So this was the task, the rules to make the drawing network. So these things you must remember. If you create task using CPM or PDM method, you will not know if it is correct or not. Let's take an example of how CPM makes work for X activity. CPM makes work. For example, activity A, activity B, activity C, and these are the activities. First, you have to get the car out of the garage. Second, you have cleaned the car. Third, you have to bring the car back to the house. There is time frame for that. So, you have to show the activity in the same way in your project. You have to show it in the same way in the pan chart. While showing it, we need some CPM formula. It is easy to use. So let's see the formulas. First of all, it has an early finish, which means you finish it early. So that is early start, plus duration. That means the time you are starting early plus the duration you have taken minus 1. So that is your early finish. When will you call it early finish? So you can see that you have finished it before the duration of the day. So that is your early finish. Early start means early finish plus 1. So if you have started it early, then you will finish it early. Early start means early finish plus 1. Late start means you have finished late minus whatever duration you felt extra plus 1 is equal to your late start. In the same way, if we want to calculate late finish, late start of successor minus 1 means your project has started late, so your late start will be finished. And then total float, that is the difference between the two. How do we calculate this? Late finish minus early finish means total float, that is the gap between them, and the late start minus early start, this is your total float. Free float means the early start of the next activity means you are finishing the first activity, so that means you are free floating. So this was the task and its relationship.